out there. So let's get over into it and see what it's talking about.
A Mariposa County High School staff member is under investigation, while a part-time faculty member at College of Sequoias is on administrative leave. Parents and students up and down the valley are blasting comments that seem to celebrate the death of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. They say they're inappropriate, no matter what your political beliefs are.
I don't know if this teacher should be fired, but I want us all to agree that no authority figure should be condoning political violence.
Multiple Mariposa County parents angrily addressed the school board during its monthly meeting Thursday.
A teacher who allegedly stated they were glad Charlie Kirk is dead and told MAGA kids to go home and cry.
Parents say there's no room for these comments in the classroom.
These comments send a harmful message that individuals who share Charlie Kirk's opinions or beliefs are somehow deserving of violence or death.
The Mariposa County Unified School District sent parents a statement this week and reads in part, "We are currently investigating a complaint involving alleged comments made by a Mariposa County high school staff member." Over in Tulare County, a College of Sequoia student took this video.
I hope every one of his family dies, and their children, and their grandchildren, and their grandchildren,
This is a teacher?
and their grandchildren to eternity.
The student, who wants to remain anonymous, says prior to pulling out her phone, the teacher told the biology class that he watched the assassination of Kirk on loop for an hour.
I just was very
That's
disgusted.
disgusting.
I couldn't even stay in the class. I walked out and I was just brought to tears because as someone that watched the video and saw how terrible it was, it just made me so uncomfortable to see that.
Yeah, she's 100% right. I watched. If you're into the news and stuff like that, I've watched the video of that assassination. It was hard to watch. It was hard to watch. It was ugly, gruesome, and you got to be careful when you watch it. I can't imagine them saying that to students, that I watched it on loop for 24 hours, and that he hopes that all their family dies. Yeah, some people aren't meant to be teachers.
Someone could say something like that.
She says this isn't the first time he shared his political view in class. The College of Sequoia sent us a statement saying the part-time faculty member was placed on administrative leave and a full-time employee has taken over the course.
The school districts are going to have to take a look at the contract and see if the contract was violated in some way.
Fresno-based legal analyst David Mugridge says whether these educators can be fired depends on multiple factors. If their contracts don't outline what they can or can't say in an educational setting, he says the school could relieve a teacher for disrupting the classroom. But he says there's little defense for encouraging violence.
For me as a teacher to go into a classroom and suggest that somebody deserved to die and his family should likewise die all the way down to his dogs in his 10th generation, that's inciting violence. And I don't think any contract would protect somebody from saying that.
And of course, we'll follow this situation and see if those lead to any terminations. Reporting live in studio, I'm Hannah.
See, like I've said it before, some people are stupid. Now that teacher has to go home, or whoever is getting fired has to go home. Imagine this: you go home, you got your spouse over there, and you walk in. If this is a man, you walk in, and she asks you, "How was work today?" Next thing you know, well, baby, it was hard. I got let go. Oh, I didn't know your company was doing layoffs. Now you got to explain to her, no, it wasn't layoffs. It was that you was making comments about Charlie Kirk right after he died. She's going to look at you like you're stupid. But, hey, but like I said, you, no matter what you do, no matter what you say, there are consequences to your actions. They can be good and they can be bad. You have to weigh those options when you say stuff on the internet, especially if you work a 9 to 5. You can't be out here saying just whatever you want. But let's go over into this next video.
As we continue to learn more about the alleged assassin who shot and killed Charlie Kirk, we're also seeing a cascade of people being fired for their comments, appearing to celebrate Kirk's passing, including Office Depot, which fired a worker for refusing to print a memorial poster. Also, the NFL's Carolina Panthers football team said they fired an employee for a social media post appearing to mock Kirk's death. And then Bengals player nonprofit, the Joe Burrow Foundation, also fired an advisory board member who they say made inappropriate remarks in light of recent events. News Nation's Jorge Ventura live with more. And Jorge, we know the list is growing of more workers being fired from their jobs. What's the latest on this?
Yeah, that's right, Natasha. Those firings are racking up, and many of those social media posts either mocking or celebrating the murder of Charlie Kirk are actually being amplified by conservative influencers or activists with large accounts. Some of these accounts, like Libs of TikTok, have over 4 million followers and are encouraging their audience to contact the employers of those making the posts. And one of those companies facing the online backlash from Kirk supporters is Delta Airlines, the company announcing the suspension and investigation into some of their employees, saying that their social media posts went well beyond healthy, respectful debate and that they were in stark contrast to the company's policies. We've also seen the NASDAQ firing a junior level employee on Friday as well. The NASDAQ also citing zero tolerance policy towards violence and commentary that condones or celebrates the murder of Charlie Kirk. And we are seeing this across the board in different jobs, in sectors. The Guilford Technical Community College in North Carolina recently announcing that they terminated a part-time instructor for similar reasons, citing that the social media posts did not share the college's respectful and learning working environment. And now Clemson University also under fire. Now we have South Carolina Congressman Thomas Beach calling for cuts to the university's funding after professors posted celebratory remarks. The hashtag Clemson on X is also trending right now because of it. We have also now seen a new statement from Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy today saying that American airline pilots were grounded and removed because they were caught celebrating the assassination of Charlie Kirk, also saying that that behavior is, quote, disgusting and should be fired, and that their behavior glorifying political violence is completely unacceptable. And this spree of firings have even gone local to employees at law firms and restaurants. But we're seeing this massive campaign right now, especially on X and Tasha, of these huge accounts with millions of followers encouraging their audiences to contact the employers and making this push. Natasha.
Yeah, Jorge Ventura tracking that tonight. Thank you.
Thank you for watching.
100, yes. We talked about that last time. There are people on Twitter, if you just go on Twitter, they will post all your information. They will post everything. Where you work, where you stay at, who you are, your email. They won't post your address or anything. I haven't seen that because that'd be crazy. But yeah, the internet is going to hunt you down. And the stuff on the internet. Wow. Let's get over into this last video.
The fallout from Charlie Kirk's killing has spread to the workplace. People are getting fired for comments that seem to celebrate or glorify the assassination of the MAGA activist and father of 2 young children. These companies and organizations have reported either terminating or suspending employees for posts about Kirk. And that includes Middle Tennessee State University firing a worker they say had, quote, zero empathy for Kirk's death. Conservative activists, Republican lawmakers, and even a doxing website are flagging the comments in what critics say is a campaign to punish those posters. Let's bring in Jessica Kriegel, the Chief Strategy Officer of Culture Partners. Jessica, thanks so much for being here with us. Look, there is, of course, the First Amendment and freedom to speech in this country, but there's also private companies who hire people, and it would seem to me if it's a private company, they get to decide who they want to hire and fire. What do you think?
Absolutely. They don't need a reason to fire you if you're an at-will employee, which most workers in the U.S. are at-will contracts. So they can fire you because you wore green instead of blue one day. It doesn't matter. Really, what the leader's job at these private employers is to identify the workers who are aligned with the culture that they're trying to cultivate, the strategy that they have to achieve their results towards their purpose. So with American Airlines, for example, they said that the person was suspended because it didn't align with their purpose, which is to care for people on life's journeys. That's a perfectly legitimate and actually best practice for how you make decisions around hiring and firing.
And what about a public sector worker? Are standards different there?
Yeah, certainly. So with the government, it's a little bit different, right? And so what they do with the government, there is the Pickering balancing test, which looks essentially back from a 1968 Supreme Court case, which asked the question: does this worker's freedom of speech disrupt the government agency's ability to perform its work? And if it does, such as, for example, creating disharmony in the workplace, then that freedom of speech isn't necessarily protected. And so there is different standards, there's a higher bar. However, there still is the ability to, if someone is, for example, inciting violence, that is not protected speech, even for a government worker.
And so, how do you think? I mean, you've outlined all of this well, but look, in the world of social media, where somebody can write something and it lives there for a while, or anybody can find anything. How do you think companies are navigating this? How should they be navigating this?
The great leaders are pausing. There is public pressure sometimes to act quickly, and then we get spun into this endless activity trap of trying to react, and we call that the action trap. But great CEOs are taking a moment, they're pausing, they're looking at what experience do I want to create for the workers who are employed here? What beliefs do I want them to hold about me as an employee, and myself, the CEO? What do I want them to hold? What beliefs do I want them to hold about the company? And then they're making decisions accordingly. A lot of the CEOs are getting headlines right now because they're firing or suspending people, but there are probably 10 times as many CEOs who are having conversations with employees. They've seen something, they call the person up, they have a conversation, what's going on, and then they're acting appropriately after having more understanding.
All right, Jessica Kriegel, thanks for your.
See, there are some employees that will call you up, especially if you're close with your supervisors and everything. They'll call you up, be like, "Hey, this was brought to my attention. Will you take all the stuff down, or will you take it down, or will you issue a statement saying that is not what you meant?" Something like that. But some, like she said, they're at will employees, so the company gets to decide to let you go. They don't have to. It's hard. They don't have to give a reason. And I recently saw this. If you did something that's goes against or violates the conduct laws or conduct rules of your job, you might not get unemployment. You might not get unemployment. You just have to be careful what you put out there. I myself work a 9 to 5. Or not, those are not my hours, but 9 to 5, you know what I mean, 9 to 5. And the most thing I do, I talk about the news. I say criminals need to go to jail. And that's it. I'm not going to say anything crazy. Why? Because my 9 to 5 is my job. That's my primary source. But some people don't care. Some people don't think. You have to be careful. You have to be careful. But let me know your thoughts, y'all. Let me know your thoughts. Have you been seeing any people getting fired at your job for what they say or the comments that they made? People need to be smarter. People need to be smarter. That's my thinking. But let me know if you disagree with anything I said. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe. But let's go. All right, everybody. Remember, this is AC Reviews the Word. Remember to like and subscribe.